What up, 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 what up? We are in the building, y'all. It is the Brooklyn Bears and Ball Sports Show. We are back. It is still crazy NBA playoffs that are going on right now, man. We got so much to talk about. Lakers and Suns and Knicks and just it's just so much to get into. And we got to talk about the Harden performance last night, man. Listen, but before we get into it, we need y'all to do us a favor. We need y'all to smash that like button. We need you to share this content. We need you to comment. We need you to get engaged, get involved. Shout out to everybody that's been supporting our show, commenting on our videos, our reels, and the whole nine. You know what I'm saying? We not afraid to take it there. It's just what we do, right? Big D, what's going on with you, bro?
What's up, man? It is, oh man,
Wow.
good games, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Just it's starting to come into picture, into focus, just how I thought it was going to turn out.
Facts.
Lakers, they looked good. I still like the Warriors in seven, but we have so much to discuss.
Oh, we're gonna get
But
into
without
it.
further ado, man, let's get into it. We're still in round two of the NBA playoffs, and there was a few teams involved that we all thought were just all but done, dead in the water. But before we get to that, let's start off with the 76ers and the Boston Celtics. Man, going into the series, Joel Embiid was injured in the Brooklyn series, so it looked like he would be a shell of himself, and he would not be able. I mean, you need to win against Boston. You need Joel Embiid to be as close to 100% as possible, and it appeared that that wasn't going to be the case starting off. So more of the offensive load would have to be shared with Maxey and Harden and some of the rest of the players. Harden, he had a fantastic game where he dropped 45 points. And this was in the absence of Joel Embiid. So it looked like, okay, cool. Harden's going to hold down the ship. Maybe Joel Embiid comes back, and then maybe they can kind of get back in sync and really, contend against the Celtics. Embiid comes back. Harden goes back into his shell and has a lackluster performance. And we're like, oh, man, where was the 45-point Harden that was aggressive? And as we all understand and know, it is when you have superstars and you're playing with superstars, your team, the way you play, the way the whole team's concept going into a game has to change, because James Harden, most of his career, he's been the focal piece of an offense. Well, now you are a Robin or to a offense. So everything they would like it to go through Joel Embiid. Long story short, Boston had this game. They had the game. I think they had a 5 to 7 point lead with 2 minutes left. Terrible planning. And I understand that coaches a lot of times want to instill trust and faith in their team to execute down the stretch. The problem with that is that they had timeouts. They could have called the timeout. And I think maybe they should have too. I know that sometimes they want to just get a play rolling so the defense can't set up and you can get, a basket, maybe drive to the hole, push come to shove. Either they foul you or you score, you win the game. But down the line, the execution was really, really bad. I think they should have called the timeout. I mean, it's hindsight. So in the moment, maybe you execute, but the ball needed to go in your best player's hands. Jaylen Brown or Tatum needed to take the shot, okay? And so because you took so much time developing the play, it goes into overtime. Down the stretch, I don't think Jaylen Brown, I don't even think he shot the ball in overtime. That's a problem. That's problem number one. Number two, when there was 18 seconds left, they should have pushed the ball, got into a play. If you leave the team, sometimes I know you don't want a team to have any time left. You want that to be the last shot, the buzzer beater, but it doesn't always turn out that way. So I think they should have gotten into a play earlier, leave very little to no time left, but at least you get a good shot. Sometimes when you drain it down too much, you get the results that you get. You shoot a 3-pointer, it's good, but it's long after the shot clock expired. What do you say?
No, I agree with you, D. Excuse me. I totally agree with you because I think what happened in that last play, like you said, they took way too long to get into their set. There was no urgency. Tatum didn't get the ball till almost about 7 seconds left at the top of the key, mind you. Marcus Smart, I don't know what he was doing. At the top of the key, just dribbling, calling out a play, don't even know what that was. Then you give the ball to Tatum with 7 seconds left. You're expecting him to create, which he did. He drew the double team, but again, passing it out to Smart. What I thought should have happened too was I thought, dude, old boy with the hairline, instead of waiting at the top of the key with the three, he should have went in. He should have came down the lane. And instead of Tatum having to throw the ball across court to Smart for the three, he could have dumped it right there in the lane, and he could have probably got a nice little floater. And my philosophy is you try to get a shot off, but still leaving yourself enough time to at least get an offensive rebound. The game is tied. So, again, not that you would get the rebound, but you want to give yourself at least another, 2 seconds or so to get an offensive rebound. You could possibly get a putback or something to that nature, but they took way too long. I don't think they needed to call a timeout. I thought they had the matchup that they wanted. I think you got Tatum, you got Maxey on Tatum, which is clearly a mismatch. And so I felt that Tatum could have certainly taken him, but you needed to do that with more time on the clock, not with 7 seconds left, and then you're trying to create and then trying to kick it out. I just thought they executed, they being the players, that is. I don't think Masula, that wasn't his fault. I don't think they need to call a timeout. I didn't think you wanted to let the Sixers get set in their defense, catch them off the guard, but push the ball. If you push the ball and get a quick shot, then you can play defense. You're up by 2. So worst case scenario is that they can only tie you, right? And you can just play the 3-point line so that they don't get it on the win. So if anything, I thought it was just very poor execution by the Celtics in that sense. And this is a team that has to start to, it's like with Boston, you expect them to know better, right? They've been in the finals. Brown and Tatum, like you said, Brown didn't even take a shot in overtime. That was a problem. I thought he had the hotter hand. I thought he played very well. They definitely could have gone through him a little bit more, but they didn't. And that's the thing with them too, right? It's like they're there. You would think they've matured, but then for whatever reason, they'll just rescind. They'll just somewhat go back to where it looks like they don't know what they're doing. Some immature decisions, even with Brown on the double team with Harden. I mean, not Harden, excuse me, with Embiid, and giving up the three to Harden in the corner. That was a bad decision defensively. You know what I'm saying? You gotta play Harden. You can't let him get that 3-point corner. I don't care what version of Harden it is. He can still hit that shot. And so, series is tied, and a lot of kudos to Harden, man, right? He got nailed for going out, out to Vegas. And, the thing with me that was cracking me up with that is like, number one, right? Because, you hear Doc Rivers say, well, that's what, Phil let Dennis Rodman do that. First of all, Doc, you're not Phil. All right, you're not Phil. Only Phil can do that, right? You're not Phil. So that's number one. With all due respect, right? Harden is one of the leaders on the team. The leader of the team doesn't do that. Even though Jordan did that, but Harden, you're not Jordan, right? When he did that during the Knicks series, he went to Jersey, he went out there to Atlantic City, he gambled a bit or whatever. And even with Rodman going out there, right? Rodman is not the leader of the team, right? Michael trusts Phil in how to deal with Rodman. He trusts him in how to corral him, give him a little bit of liberty so he can come back to his focus, right? None of those dynamics mirrored what you got in Philly. So, I mean, it didn't matter. But to Harden's, to his defense, he did come back and put on a stellar performance. Embiid has got to play better. Half of his points came at the free throw line. I thought he wasn't as aggressive. I still think the injury is bothering him some. But Maxey didn't play well either. So Harden definitely had to carry that game. And so kudos to Harden. It's good that he can at least pull the flashes of the Houston Harden when it's necessary. He doesn't need to be consistently good at that level, but it is good to know that he can pull that out when it's needed, and they definitely needed that because had they gone down 3-1, it would have been a disaster for Philly, to say the least.
And I think Doc Rivers mentioned two things about Doc Rivers. I think Doc Rivers mentioned that he gave Harden a gospel song to listen to as inspiration. And so Harden listened to it and was somewhat inspired. So I thought that was interesting. I don't know if he was listening to it while he was in Vegas, but he was listening he had listened to it and came back and he had an outstanding performance. The
Good,
other thing
good.
is
Okay,
Doc Rivers, when the Celtics came back from the deficit and they were winning and it looked like the game was, sealed.
Right.
I could see Doc Rivers on the bench, and even when he was calling timeouts, thinking about how much he was going to put his house on the market for. He looked like he was going to get fired, because if you blow a game like that,
right?
I think Doc Rivers, because there's already talk that James Harden wants to go back to Houston, right?
Yeah,
and
I heard that.
So we know all of the whole process, and you dealt Ben Simmons, and now you got Harden, and you got Embiid. He's the MVP. Yes, he's dealing with an injury, but a lot of the woes kind of fall on Doc Rivers, because there are some times where Doc Rivers, I know he has trust in his team, but sometimes they're paying you not to have trust. They're paying you to manage and kind of decide, and you have to coach. It's chess pieces. You have to kind of utilize your players in situational basketball to get the win. And sometimes Doc Rivers sits on they have, those pads. Doc Rivers is seventh, sitting way up over everybody else, and he's just sitting there. And it's like, Doc, put your house on the market, because if they don't advance, given the opportunities that they've had, I think Doc Rivers may have coached his last series with Philly. What do you say about that?
Right. No, I say that he might even been the first coach to get fired in the playoff series, right? Because they would have went down 3-1. He would have been fired right in the middle of the playoff, right in the middle of the series. That'd have been the first ever, right? Because, Doc, unfortunately, man, his history, I mean, obviously he won in Boston. We know that. But outside of that, there's not a whole lot. I mean, he had success in Orlando, and I mean, he's not a bad coach, right? And I'm not suggesting that's what you're implying, but I'm saying is that you're right. When it comes to these critical games, if they blew that 16-point lead, and which they did, right? For all intents and purposes, they did blow the lead. But, but again, to lose the game, that would have been a heartbreaker. And you're right. Doc probably he probably was texting his realtor like, let's just see what we can get right now. What do you recommend a selling price should be, for the house? Because I'm gonna lose my job. This be my last press conference tonight. So I totally agree with you there. Doc's got to do better. He really does. You got to learn to put some teams away. You had an opportunity to get a convincing win, right? And that's the thing that they were not able to do.
Okay, well, let's move on to another very, very interesting series.
Okay.
I don't want to say that I said this was going to happen, but I think I will say that I said this was going to happen.
All right, say it.
The Suns and the Nuggets. The Nuggets look like world beaters. Nobody could be. I mean, blowout game, Jamal Murray balling out. Game 2. Of course, we have CP3's injury. The Suns were winning that game. CP gut punch. They lose everything. They lose the game. Down 2-0. And it's in Denver. I mean, listen, number 1 seed, right? Yep. So it's looking, the Suns are kind of patchwork, right? Because their team kind of developed after, towards the end of the season. Then Kevin Durant had injuries. So it's like, man, is that going to be enough? Will they have enough chemistry?
Right.
You look at Denver, they've been playing for a while. So they have chemistry. Right. Those players have been there. They know, what to expect, what the other person's going to do. I said that the Suns, I like their chances of coming back, it being tied up, because the cream always rises to the top. Always. Right. And so Devin Booker, who has been balling out, and he even said in his press conference, he is getting a lot. He's not getting double covered. He's usually, prior to Kevin Durant's arrival, was always getting double covered. But the addition of Kevin Durant keeps them honest now. So you can't double Booker, right?
No,
because if you do, you leave Kevin Durant and you know what he can do. So I think he was talking about Kevin Durant's gravitational pull that pulls him away, the double away from him. And to Devin Booker's credit, he has made the most of it. He only missed 4 shots. Him and Kevin Durant both had outstanding games.
Yeah, they did.
36 points apiece. I think Kevin Durant had 11 rebounds. Devin Booker had 12 assists. where in the world is DeAndre Ayton? Ayton had 8 rebounds and 8 points. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. So I don't know if, thank God for Landry Shamet. Landry Shamet supplied the points off the bench that you were expecting, DeAndre Ayton to do. Just give us 18 and 12. That would be enough. I mean, that's not much to ask for a 7-footer, but that would be enough. Landry Shamet had 19 points, and they were pivotal points. They also went deeper on the bench than even Denver did, and Denver has, I think they only used 8 players. The Suns used 10 players, so they're going deeper on a bench that is I mean, from, if you look at it name to name, on paper, they have the Denver has a much deeper bench, but I don't know what Malone is doing. I don't know if he's trying to shrink his bench, as it happens in playoffs that the bench gets you shrink the bench, the amount of players that you put into rotation, but they just haven't showed up. Caldwell Pope hasn't had a really good game, but once again, role players play better at home. So we'll see. Now going back to Denver, best out of 3 series. I like the Suns in 7, and I think finally we finally had a game where Kevin Durant and Devin Booker were clicking at the same time. Usually they've been taking turns. One would have a high 30s game, the other one would be mid 20s, but both of them clicking on the same. And what the other person didn't provide outside of scoring, assist, this person filled in. Rebounds was needed, this person filled in. What do you say?
No, I agree with you there, but I still, it feels to me though, D, that Denver still has control of this series. In spite of Booker's performance, which has been stellar, right? Him and Butler has just been, the MVPs of the playoffs so far. Booker is hitting everything. Durant is Durant, right? Even though Durant's not shooting well, I think I saw a stat like 20% or something from the 3-point line or something like that. He's not shooting particularly well right now from threes, but it's okay, right? Because we still know Durant is that dude. He's still a sharp shooter. He can score, and him and Booker are going to put up a lot of points, but I just don't feel like that Denver is losing the series. It still feels like Denver has the series to me because, again, Booker and Durant are going to do what they do. 2 bona fide superstars. They're going to give you points left and right. These guys can give you 40 in their sleep, but I still don't think they have enough. Chambers, is he going to give you that game in Denver? I don't know. I don't think so, right? And Chambers, Chambers is not a bad player, right? I mean, he's played well. He's a journeyman, but he's played well, right? He's always been pretty good off the bench, and he's a good 3-point shooter, but he's not that kind of guy that you're going to depend on, to really kind of get you over the top. And you just said it. Can the bench players play on the road? And that's the thing you're looking to see if they can do, because they haven't done that in Denver. And so, and even with the wins, with as well as Booker and Kevin Durant has played scoring-wise, the game is still a struggle to win. I mean, Denver could have still won that game last night. If Jokic doesn't turn that ball over when they were down by 3, just losing the ball. I mean, he just kind of missdribbled or whatever he did and lost the ball. I mean, really, they could have tied it up on that possession. So again, it's still hard for them to win. Like when you look up, you see they both had 95 points apiece, but they still only win by 6. You know what I'm saying? And so it's still hard for them. And so I don't see them winning. And I agree with you. Ayton he's trash. He is trash. Matter of fact, I'm looking at a stat here. They're minus 13 when he's on the floor. But when the kid Landale is out there, the other center that Monty's been playing and giving a lot more minutes to, they're plus 16. And he was off the bench, and he had just as many rebounds as Ayton had, 8. So, yeah, Ayton is trash. He's giving you nothing. So, again, you're going to have to get what you're going to have to get. It's going to be Booker and KD. You're going to have to do or die with those guys, and you just hope that their superstardom is enough to get you over, but I still don't think it's going to happen. I like Denver because I still don't think Phoenix can beat them in Denver. So if it goes 7, I still like Denver in this series, and I think they'll prevail because, as we said it before, the bench still is just not enough. Great bench performance, but it's really Shamet that did the work. Can he give you that again? And I just don't think he will.
Well, I will say this. Do we really believe that Ayton is that bad? or does he have bad blood with the coach? Because they have bad blood.
I heard about
and
that.
could it be that he just doesn't? He wants out. There was talk about they didn't want to even give him an extension starting off, right?
No.
Remember they were going back and forth with that.
Mm-hmm.
There was a playoff where him and the coach got into it. They wound up losing that series. They got into it, so they have somewhat of a contentious relationship to start off.
Right.
And Monty will play the best player for the situation, which you want a coach to do, because ultimately, if they underperform on your watch, he's going to be the first head that they chop, right? So he understands that. But I can't believe, because in college, DeAndre Ayton was really good in college. And I'm not saying that it always translates, but I think maybe he's pouting and maybe he's doing this on purpose. I really, because I find it hard to believe that someone his height, his skill level can only put up 8 points. That is no effort whatsoever. That is, I'm not trying. 8 points and 8 rebounds.
Right.
I find it hard to believe because, Jokic is tough to play, right? But he's not a banger, right? So he has other dimensions to his game. He has a mid-range. Sure. He's kind of he's like a point center. So I don't think that you can't get anything. You can't double-digit rebounds and points should be easy. It should be easy for him because it's not like Ayton doesn't have a little mid-range shot, a little jump shot, a little jump hook. He has those skills in his repertoire. So why not use them? I think it's personal. I think he still, although they gave him an extension, he still wants out. And if he continues to play like that, he's going to get his wish because the owner, Ishmael, whatever his name is, he's not going to play. Like he's not going to, he's a business owner. You seen he was holding the ball and he's even the flopping is even going into ownership. He's falling back and so I think he's going to have a short leash, understanding that Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, when you assemble those kind of players, you're in win now mode, right? So you have to just anything that's not going to add to that winning persona and that winning movement, you got to cut bait with. And I think if he continues, maybe he's going to get his wish. And it might be that just him and the coach bumped heads and out of resentment and out of just, I don't want you to succeed, hurting myself, I don't want you to succeed. Because at the end of the day, there's always going to be a place for a 7'2" center that has skills that he has. So it's not like it's at the point where, he might be out of the league next year. No, he may not be on the Suns anymore, but certainly a team will want him. And maybe he just wants out at the end of the day. What do you say?
No, I definitely agree. And I'm just looking at his contract status here, D. And so he'll be a restricted free agent this summer. He can still command a maximum salary in the offseason. Phoenix could match any team's max offer for Ayton, but that will force the team into the NBA's luxury tax territory. So the question now becomes, does Phoenix want to do that, right? You got the kid I just mentioned, Landale, playing pretty good in the playoffs, right? So you could get another guy out from the street and put somebody else in there, because my thing is this, right? Everything is centered around KD and Book. So losing Ayton, I wouldn't give him a max contract. Why would I do that, right? I don't even see him as the number 3 guy on our team, right? It's KD and Book, and then after that, it's whoever, right? And so you would bring in some more pieces and you develop more depth around your team. Why would you give a max contract to one guy and then still have depth issues, right? Because now you can't pay more players to come on your team to give you that level of depth. So I think, look, if he's not playing intentionally well, That's on him. And that, in fact, I think that would be a stupid thing for him to do, because if you're trying to play for a max contract, at least you want to show up in the playoffs, right? At least be serviceable and give people what you need. For his career, he's averaging 17 and 10. So, at least come close to your average. And if you can give people that, even win or lose in this series, people could still say, hey, Ayton performed well. He did his thing against a two-time MVP. He still performed well. But he's underperforming in a very embarrassing way. And so I think who's going to want to even give you a max deal playing the way you play in the playoffs, right? Because that's where you make your money. So to me, Ayton is really, his value, his stock is dropping rapidly. And if I'm him, I would try to want to play better as best as I can. You got a 2-2 series here. You got a chance to turn it around. You can advance, get into the Western Conference Finals, and really be able to show something and play a lot better. Because in my mind, based on his contract status, and since they didn't trade him, they didn't get anything. So obviously they can't get anything for him. I don't think they'll match him. They'll let him go out there, see what his market is. I don't think Phoenix is going to touch him. They're going to let Ayton walk and just say, hey, it is what it is. And you know what? We're good. The smart thing is they did not give him that extension. And that was the smart thing, because they kind of foresaw, my belief, what you see now in Ayton. He's just not that dude. He just comes up small in big moments. And so, and now that you got KD, you really don't have to worry about trying to retain him. I think they move on for him after this season.
And I think there is talk that, of course, the Mavericks obviously want to re-sign Kyrie. But there's talk that Kyrie, Chris Paul, if it doesn't pan out and, he's not able to get back, let's say they get beyond Denver, he's not able to get back. And maybe even if he does get back and they go on to win the championship, this is probably going to be, Chris Paul's swan song. And they're looking to bring maybe Kyrie in. So could you imagine Kyrie Devin Booker?
In Phoenix?
Yeah.
That's horrible. That's bad. That is the worst thing Phoenix could ever do, in my opinion. You need depth. You got to get defense. You got to get wing plays. You already got two bona fide superstars. You're going to have another ball-dominant guy like Kyrie, who's going to definitely blow up the team. He's going to destroy the team some way, somehow. Everywhere Kyrie goes, it's a mess. So if I'm Phoenix, I would stay away. If I'm Kevin Durant, I wouldn't want no parts of KD. Of Kyrie. No parts at all. Yo, you my boy. I love you, bro. We good, but nah, I'm good. Like, I can't have you come over here and do to me what you did to us in Brooklyn, man. I don't care what nobody say. I would like to think Kevin Durant honestly knows that.
Maybe he learned his lesson.
I hope he does. I don't think even with the Lakers, they're talking about that too with Kyrie. But I'm hoping that we would keep D'Angelo, if anything, or even go in another direction. I would stay far away from Kyrie Irving as I possibly could.
And it may not even come to that. There's talk, that's kind of the rumor mill. But at the same time, is Kyrie going to give up a fifth year that he can get with the Mavericks, extra $60 million that he's going to just, pass up to play with his boys? I think not. So I think the Mavericks are going to offer him a supermax deal.
Yeah, they will. I think they will.
And at some point when we get to that, we'll go into the archives and pull that show up where one of us said that he was going to get a max deal no matter what. We'll pull that up. We don't have time to do it today. But someone
said he won't get a max
deal, right?
Who will?
Correct.
I said Kyrie will not get a max deal.
Correct.
Yeah.
He's going to get a super max. He's not going to get a max deal. He's going to get a super max. You're right. He's not going to get a max. He's going to get a super max deal.
You know what? I'll say this real quick.
Come on. Don't
Dallas.
Listen, don't try to save face.
I don't think he's going to get. Honestly, I don't think Dallas. I think Dallas would be stupid to offer him a supermax deal. I really do. I don't think they will. I think honestly, if you give him that money, you're looking at what you are right now. You have no more money.
What you gave away, you can get depth. What you gave away to get him, it would be a colossal failure to give that away. You let your point guard go to the Knicks. You get Kyrie. You give away assets and draft picks to get Kyrie. You get him, and then you let him walk. You can't. That would be a failure, a huge failure. So Mark Cuban has kind of
point there.
I know
but what
he
if
is.
Kyrie doesn't take that deal? I mean, what if? Well, if he offers him a super max, then yeah, he's gonna. I would think. He's take that money.
Listen, with no sales tax, he's gonna take that deal. He would be like, he's not gonna pass up an additional $60 million just to play with LeBron or just to play with KD and do a whole bunch of secret handshakes. He's going to take that money. It would be ridiculous not to take that money.
And especially, I'll stand corrected if he gets the deal.
Especially if that was the driving force for you to get out of Brooklyn. I want a max deal and they're not going to give you a max. So I think it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. But you got to keep Luka happy. And I think it is proven that they can play together, right? He's ball dominant. But if you have another alpha player, he can sometimes, he will be able to play within that system. It was the supporting cast that didn't do anything, right? So you blow up a lot of those supporting cast members, try to bring some people in, a few veterans, you get some more size, right? Because size is their problem too.
Right, that's the thing.
Why wouldn't DeAndre Ayton work there? Could he work there? He ain't asking for the ball a lot. So it can happen, right? Let's not say it can't happen, right? So it very possibly will happen. But I think Kyrie, this is off the subject, but I think Kyrie is going to get his Supermax. But let's move on to the next team. I am so happy. Shout outs to Corey. I am so happy that the Knicks look the way they do. I'm so happy. I am so happy because listen, Julius Randle, I will triple down on this. You cannot trust Julius Randle. Okay. When you least expect it, he can look good. He can be I don't know what he got. Didn't he get player of the comeback player of the year? Or he got some award, some acknowledgement for playing really hard, all-star. But when you need him to perform, he gives you 10 points.
Right.
In the playoffs.
Right.
You can, and the defense, he's getting to a point where he's going highs and lows too. So he'll have a really good game, they'll win. Then he goes and has a bad game. He needs to kind of manage himself so he doesn't get in foul trouble. He has to realize how important he is to the organization's success. Right. And I don't think he has that down pat yet. So as a result, he'll get in foul trouble. He'll start getting frustrated. He won't, if your threes aren't working, because he shoots threes as if he is all day, like Steph, Dame Lillard. Like he shoots clay. Like you're not that dude. So why are you shooting threes like that? You need to dominate inside. Because Miami's not a big team. It's not like Miami. Bam Adebayo is not any massive figure in the paint where you couldn't impose your will. You actually, New York is a bigger team than Miami. Right. But for whatever reason, because everyone falls into the Steph Curry syndrome, the three-pointer is the sexier shot, right? Mm-hmm. It's not even, sometimes I think it has even surpassed the slam dunk, which was always the backbreaker. Someone comes down and flushes it on you. Then you're like, oh, but now people are driving down the court. They have a 3-on-1. And what do? Kick it out for a 3. Because that is what, everybody wants that there's only going to be so many Ray Allens, so many Steph Currys, so many Klay Thompsons. You know what I mean? So that's not your game. And if that's not working for you, pivot. Listen, I tell my kids all the time, things don't work out the way you expect in life. You got to learn how to pivot. Absolutely. Okay, this is not working, but let me see if this can work. And I'm gonna see if I can sit Julius Randle down and have a conversation with him. Pivot. If your threes ain't hitting, start going to the hole. Get to the free throw line. Get some fouls. That way, number one, you start seeing the ball go into the basket, right? Correct. Number two, you get the opposing team in foul trouble. And then maybe once you get into a rhythm, then you can step back out and test the threes again. But he'll keep shooting, and he's not, they always say shooters shoot. Well, you're not a shooter. So you have to stop. After you miss 5 of them, stop. And he won't. What do you say?
He won't. No. I totally agree, D. I mean, but Randle, that's the Knicks for that matter, right? Because they're an ISO team. I've been saying it, all playoffs long. That's all they know how to do. They're last in the league in assists through the regular season. It's one-on-one basketball. It's like, watching Carmelo Anthony all over. Brunson is one-on-one. Quickly, one-on-one. Randle, one-on-one. They get the ball.
RJ Barrett, one-on-one.
RJ Barrett, one-on-one, right? That's just who they are. They're not a team that moves the ball. They don't play with a level of cohesion offensively. It's not a systemic type of offense for them. It's everybody just spread the floor, get out the way. Whoever's the ball handler, that guy's going to shoot the ball. And that's just how they win and lose that way. They live and die that way. And unfortunately for Randle, he's just that type of player that's going to keep shooting threes. And right now, for the postseason, he's only shooting 34% from three-point range. So again, and like you said, he's not going to stop shooting. He's going to keep shooting and keep shooting. And at least with Brunson hits his shots, right? I mean, not that Randle isn't, and not that Randle isn't, a good player, right? We know he is a reason why the Knicks are here. He is an all-star, although I like to tease the Knicks fans. I call him Army Reserve because he's really a reserve type all-star. You know what I mean? He's Army Reserve. He's not real, all-star first, getting selected by the fans as a starter. But, usually somebody gets hurt, can't play, here comes Randle. But the truth is, Randle's a good player, and he's clearly instrumental to their success. But at the end of the day, D, he's not a guy that's going to take him to the next level. And that's the thing with the Knicks, too. I think the Knicks are a really good team. But for some reason or another, if they don't learn how to share the basketball, it's almost going to remind you a lot like Phoenix in that way, right? You got 2 prominent scorers that's going to score. But again, you're going to need some other.
Well, I'm not going to compare them. I'm not going to compare them to
not
Phoenix.
The players themselves, but what I'm saying is that, but in the way how it works, right? At the end of the day, you're going to rely on those 2 guys, right? We if you go back to the Jordan era, you saw moments when Jordan would have to pass the ball, right? When he dropped that, amazing, whatever it was, 54 in the first game back in the Garden after coming out of retirement. Who was the guy that hits the winning shot against the Knicks? It was Bill Winnington, right? Jordan gets the double team, kicks it out. Here's a guy that hits it. We saw Paxson. We saw B.J. Armstrong. We saw, Steve Kerr. Yeah, thank you. Guys like that will hit the shot, right? You at some point, you're going to have to, again, move the ball. The triangle was an offense that still moved, right? Even though Jordan was the main guy, but everybody touches the ball, and I still think that's an effective way to win in today's game. That's what makes Denver successful. That's what makes other teams successful when you can move the ball, and that's not what the Knicks do. The Knicks is a strictly ISO team. The ball gets stuck in one guy's hand. It's going to be Randle or it's going to be Brunson, and that's pretty much what you're going to get at the end of the day. If those guys don't will you to win with shots, it's just not going to happen. And so that's, for me, that's why Miami, I think they're going to win this series. I like them tonight. I think they're going to win tonight. And I think they're going to go, they'll probably close this thing out probably in 6, in my opinion. So that's what I like. But yeah, I agree with you as far as Randle goes. He's not going to stop shooting. That's just what the Knicks live and die by the 3. It's just who they are.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Jimmy Butler, he had the injury, came back, looked he had, to his credit, and fortunately for Miami, there was a big gap in time where he got, sufficient rest to get that ankle back. He may not, I'm not saying he's 100%, but he's playing and he's willing his team. They got shooters, they can spread the floor. So they just have the game plan that works totally against how the Knicks play. And it's about matchups, right?
Right.
And so they are positioned to win, and I think they will win. And both of us, as stated before, picked them to win. So it's no surprise that Miami is going to take care of business. Last but not least, we got a big one tonight, man. Listen, I'll start off by saying this. The Lakers have everything that they need to win this series. Will they though? It's all about will. And listen, you could put the hat on, you could put all kind of stuff on. What Anthony Davis are we going to get? That's what matters. Like, if we get the Anthony, and this is beginning to be a broken record, but it's true. And I mean, there's something about the truth. It has a certain ring to it. So we can't, like, it is what it is. And Anthony Davis will dictate even more than LeBron. LeBron has shown that LeBron is, at first he was trying to nudge Anthony Davis into taking the keys to the team. Like, you can drive if you want. Right. Anthony, no, I don't want to drive. I don't want to drive. Then now he's trying to force him. Friends don't let friends drive drunk. He is trying to hand him the keys. Like, yo, you got to drive this. I can't drive anymore. Oh, God. And so Anthony Davis has to aggressively play. And I agree with you. He doesn't necessarily need to have, although it would make it a smoother sail, right? For him to have the 30 and 17, right?
Absolutely.
But I think if he doesn't have those kind of gaudy numbers, he does need to, his defense needs to be outstanding. 5+ blocks. The rebounds is a factor, right? He needs some offensive boards. But I think my pick is the Warriors in 7. So I think that they will even the score tonight. And there is a pattern that I think directly impacts and affects how this series is going. Of course, the Anthony Davis play, how he's been consistent up game, one game up, one game down, one game level to the ground. I just had to say that. But also the foul situation. When the Lakers get, to the free throw line 25 times, 25 or 20 plus times, they win. When it's more evenly balanced, they lose. So so the aggression is Anthony Davis and the other players' aggression pays dividends immediately. They can't be passive. They can't turn into a 3-point shooting team because you're playing into the Warriors' hands. What do you say?
Correct. Totally agree. No, you're totally right about that. And I hate when LeBron settles early for jumpers. That's why in game 2, I knew we were going to lose. When LeBron started hot with the jumpers and he starts to see the ball go in, he starts to fall in love with it. He's a horrible 3-point shooter, as we know. And when LeBron has a great game, the Lakers are going to lose. LeBron has to just remain efficient. That's all. Remain efficient, pass the ball, get guys involved like he does, and pick and choose his spots, not for jumpers, but when to drive the lane. Okay, the truth of the matter is with this series, the Lakers could have swept this team by now. The series should be over tonight. And here's the reason why. If the Lakers just remember who they are, there is nobody, and I mean nobody, on that team in Golden State or on the Golden State Warriors that can stop the Lakers, particularly when it comes to the size. They're just way too small. And now it's not about X and O's. It's not about adjustments. It's just about will now. It's about Anthony Davis, how in game 2 they put Jesus, I'm drawing a brain fart. Draymond on AD, and it was like, oh wow, what an adjustment by Steve Kerr, right? You put him on AD, and supposedly that stopped them. You got the other guy, JaMychal, out there playing now. You sit Looney, right? And until somebody just kind of maybe the next day told AD, JaMychal is not on your level. And neither is Draymond. I don't care how good of a defensive player. Yes, multiple defensive player of the year player, but he's not. He can't stop you. Just go out there and abuse them. Why won't you do that? And so game 3, he comes out, and that's what he does. He just abuses them. He just takes them to the cup and just annihilates them as he should. And that's what AD, we still have not figured out why he doesn't do this with consistency, but that's just what it is. And so if the Lakers are just pound inside, we're going to get the calls. We're going to be able to get to the free throw line. We led the league in drawing the most fouls with the most 3 free throw attempts because we play inside. I mean, when you play inside, you're going to get calls. The Warriors are one of the last teams in the league to draw fouls because of the fact that they shoot threes. Nobody's fouling you at the 3-point line or at half court where Poole and Clay don't love to take shots from. Nobody's fouling you out there. So the thing is, you can't complain as, oh, the Lakers, the too many calls, the refs are cheating. No, it's common basketball. It's basketball 101. When you drive to the cup, you're going to get the calls. Why? Because Golden State can't play defense without fouling you. They're too small. So if LeBron understands that, pick his points, pick his spots, be decisive, be judicious. When you go into the hole, you can get what you want. You get the pick and roll, again, with Reeves and D'Lo handling the offense. LeBron can still rest while he's out there on the court. They can set up the pick and rolls. And that was another thing AD did well in Game 3 defensively. He got more aggressive on the pick and rolls because Golden State was actually killing us on that because AD was too passive in certain spots. When it came to the pick and roll, he didn't step up. And you got to step up, get out there more, and play a little bit more defense up there. Get hands in the face. And I thought AD was a lot more aggressive. Defensively, he's been a stalwart the whole playoffs, in my opinion. And he leads the league, all the teams in the playoffs with the blocks by like double digits. So defensively, he hasn't let down. I don't think he has been inconsistent defensively. But offensively is where we've had problems with AD, and that's where he's got to be able to stay aggressive. But AD just remembers who he's playing against. They're ants compared to who he is by way of skill, stature, size. Just do what you got to do there, and that's what. And then if you notice, I'll say this and I'll toss it back, D. If you notice in that Game 3, the tenacity. The defense stepped up. And I know it's hard to maintain that level of tenacity and that level of intensity for 48 minutes. But that stretch in the second quarter where the Lakers was swarming everything, when they went back with Vanderbilt, playing him on Steph, letting him run around, and that's what I love about Vanderbilt and his defense. He ain't worried about nothing else but staying where he's not looking at anybody else in that court. He's keeping his eyes on Steph, and that's the kind of tenacity you got to have when you're playing defensively against that team. And so if the Lakers stay with that, they'll be fine. And even Draymond Green said on his podcast, which I actually enjoy his podcast, he did a little review of the game and was very unbiased about everything. He talked about what the Lakers did that was really well, what Golden State didn't do, what they need to do going forward in games, and not sharing too much, but he shared about what they're going to need to do in this next game. But I thought he was very, very impartial with his take on it and everything like that. And I guess you got to be that way because it's a show and you don't want to look too biased. But at the end of the day, he talked about it about the intensity. He said the Lakers just played with that intensity. Like AD was not going to be stopped defensively or offensively, and that's what the Lakers got to maintain to do. So this is a game. If the Lakers win this, we go up 3-1. I think we got the series. So, and if AD, who has so far has not played well in even games, he's been horrible in all even games. Games 1, 3, and 5 are the games that he shows up. So tonight should be a game he's not going to play well in. At least that's what the trend is showing. Yeah. But I said to myself, if that's the case, then at least if there's a game 7, we know we'll get a 30 and 20 AD, to say the least. So we hope that will help us on the road. That's the case. So anyway, yeah, but we'll see, D. We'll see. I'm nervous. I'm still very nervous about it, and I promise you, I'm gonna shut up. I'm just trying to get these before I got on my mind. The thing is with the Lakers again, and I said this in the beginning, D, when I did the reel, the Lakers just have to endure the barrage of threes. If Clay is going to end up shooting, you're going to get pulled. You're going to get guys that's going to hit threes. We just got to maintain the onslaught. It's going to come. That's just who Golden State is. They live and die by the three. They have nothing else to their offense but threes. That's it. They are just a three-point shooting team. There's no inside. There's no interior. There's ball movement, but it's all to set up the three. That's all they are. So they're going to live and die by the three, and the Lakers have to remain patient. Don't get rattled. Stay in it. They're going to, because you got two of the best shooters that have ever played the game of basketball on the same court at the same time. You're just going to have to withstand that. If you play defense and shoot your twos, get good shots, we can overcome the onslaught of threes.
So let me ask you a question. I'm not sure if that's a permanent change, but right. Is JaMychal Green the Iguodala of this series? That substitution? Because at first it was Looney was dealing with a undisclosed injury or sickness.
Illness.
He was
I think he was sick something. Yeah.
Ill.
Right.
Okay, but then next game he didn't start again. So do you think that that's going to be a permanent substitution where now having JaMychal in spreads it where now you have really 5 shooters? Well, Draymond is not a shooter, but he can hit threes if left open. So it kind of keeps the defense honest, because now you have to, it opens up the paint, right? And gives some more fluidity to, Curry and Clay that move, who move without the ball all the time. What do you think? Do you think that's a strategy that may work or no?
No, I don't think so, because they started JaMychal in game 2. Like, to your point, they got some offense out of it because he can't shoot, right? You pull AD out, but the Lakers still have some good ball defenders, and we still rotate very well. And so we saw that in game 3 when they tried to go back with JaMychal again and hoping that same lineup would do well or prove well for them in game 3. But because the Lakers dominated offensively and we got up to a really good start, and then of course with D'Lo playing the way he played offensively, when you start scoring like the way we were and AD was aggressive and you had D'Lo getting hot in that kind of sense, you're looking at, okay, I got to find a way to play some defense here. And you're going to end up having to go back to Looney at some point. And because Michael is not a guy that's, he can hit the shot, but they're not going to live with that, right? I mean, you're not going to, at the end of the day, you need Clay and Steph to shoot the ball. You need one of those guys or both those guys shooting. And that's what they still got in game 2 because Clay went off in game 2. So that's what you're going to need. I don't think that lineup works for Stephen Kerr at this point. I think it proved in game 3 that it wasn't going to work. If he comes out with that small thing again, we're going to pound him inside. So you got to pick your poison. You're going to, in other words, here's my point. JaMychal is not an offensive threat enough to sacrifice that much on defense. You're giving up way too much on defense. So you're not getting enough back in return. So because he's not a guy that's going to hit 6 threes. So at the end of the day, you rather get Looney down there. At least Looney can get you some rebounds. He can still play a little bit of defense, and he gives you a better setting defensively than what JaMychal gives you on offense, because you got enough shooters on offense. It don't even matter, right? Because you still got guys who can shoot threes all day. So his offensive production doesn't change the game at the end of the day. It spreads the floor. It makes AD come out a little bit, but it's not going to make a difference if AD is pounding him inside all night. And what good is it? So, you're going to miss some threes, and you got automatic 2s on the other end. It doesn't add up numerically or schematic wise, in my opinion.
Got it. So you have, let me get a prediction. Do the Lakers win tonight?
I don't want to do this. I don't want to.
You got the hat on, don't you? You should have left the hat off. You didn't even you didn't start the show with the hat. Now you got the hat on. Then when I asked you about it, and I don't want to do this.
We're talking about him, but I'm still in. It is. It's hard. I can't detach the fandom versus the analyst part of it all. You know what I'm saying? So, but no, I like the Lakers tonight. I do think the Lakers will win tonight. If the Lakers remember.
No, that's too much.
No, I'm saying it's too much. It's too much.
Yeah, it's just that's if pretty much. It should be just a yes or no.
Likeness thing.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Okay. No, I like the Lakers tonight. I do think the Lakers will win tonight. I don't have a score. I think the Lakers will win by. I like the Lakers by 8.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Now, one more thing that you brought up,
but it'll be closer than what it would. But go ahead. Mm-hmm.
We'll talk on another show about it. Do you think that, and I don't know if he does it after every game, but do you think that Draymond's podcast specifically about games or kind of discussing or discussing a game, win or lose, do you think that is productive or counterproductive to them winning? Do you think it benefits? Even if obviously he's not giving the full game plan, but just discussing, because I did watch his podcast also, and he was discussing how much it threw them off that LeBron is playing off the ball. That still gives an edge. If let's just say for whatever reason LeBron decided he wanted to revert back to being on ball,
right?
You just get. I mean, it's little tidbits like that give a competitive edge. Do you think he should do it daily after every game, or you think he should summarize the series, win or lose, after it's over? What do you say?
I think it doesn't hurt them. Number one, Draymond loves talking basketball. I really think he's a basketball savant. I think clearly he's going to have a career probably going to be on one of these television shows along with his show now. Obviously, got the podcast, but I could see them bringing him in as a guest to talk about some things because he likes to talk basketball. He really is an X and O guy. You know what I mean? And so I don't think it compromises them when he gives a little more, maybe too much insight, if you will. It sounds like that's what you're saying, like maybe giving too much into what's going on, and that could possibly hurt the Warriors. I don't think so, because there's a little bit of cockiness with Draymond and the Warriors, right? I think they kind of feel like, you know, at the end of the day, nobody can really beat us but us, right? And if Clay and Steph are shooting like they shoot, it don't matter who's playing off the ball, who's dominating the ball, what we do defensively or not do defensively. At the end of the day, we know what we got to do to win. And that's just kind of where he's at. And I think he's kind of feel like we've graduated as a team, as a dynasty to this point where I can talk about the game, give up some things to say, hey, this is not what we did really well. This is what they did well. And I don't think it's going to make a difference either way, because at the end of the day, you know, when we get out there, they still got to be able to stop us. And I still think they got some more tricks in the bag that he's probably not letting all out. But what does it come down to, right? It's going to still come down to Steph and Clay shooting and them getting threes and them doing what they've been doing the last 10 years. So that's just what I think Draymond kind of looks at. So no, to answer your question, I don't think it's hurting them. I don't think so. I don't believe so.
Okay, last question. It sounds like basically when you were describing how you thought the game would play out, that you came closer to agreeing with me about Anthony Davis' inconsistent play and the importance of him being consistent. Do you want to? Oh, finally! Listen,
no, I agree with you. I agree with you.
Thank you. I'm so happy.
You didn't I've been agreeing with you all the time.
You weren't agreeing with me. You were like, "Yo, that's what he does." He's, you know, and you didn't agree with the zigzag theory, right? You didn't agree with any of that stuff. I did. So now it all comes comes full circle. It feels so good. Listen,
I agree. I agree to this exact.
Today we have grown closer as friends. I've known you for over 20 years, but sometimes there's days like this where it happens. It's like, yo, man, you know what?
Yeah, man. I didn't want. You know what it was, D. I'll give you credit. You foresaw that this could be a problem in the first series against Memphis, right? I thought it was too early to predict this trend of the zigzag theory, okay? One series, you know, okay, first couple of games, and that's, I mean, yeah, but that's not going to be AD, right? Lo and behold, okay, this has been nothing but AD. And so you predicted that this trend was going to be a problem for the Lakers. And it has been. And you're right, because, I mean, and it's bad, right? It's like Heat 30-20, then a precipitous, 12-5. You know what I mean? It's like, he goes down, way down. Like he's completely non-existent. So, no, I agree. America, I'll let everybody know. Yeah, Dom was right about AD. I hope that we could break and put an end to the zigzag theory tonight. And so let me ask you this then, right? It probably won't be enough. I kind of might know your answer already, but if AD comes up really big tonight, right, does that put some type of hole in the zigzag theory? Is there some slight compromise, or does the zigzag theory still hold substance?
It still holds substance, because we have to see he has a larger body of work with zigzag than he does having consecutive dominant games, because he has the ability to dominate every game. And given the series, Memphis was bigger. I mean, they were missing bodies, size with Steven Adams, but they were a bigger team overall than the Warriors. But with a team that you should dominate based on size, there is no player that's going to walk in that the Warriors have that's going to be as big as Anthony Davis and have the skills and kind of keep him at bay. So that advantage, had he played consistently, had some consecutive back-to-back games, you're right. You guys could be closing out the series. But because the zigzag, he could surprise me and have a very good game, a dominant game, and then you guys would be in the driver's seat. But I just don't see that happening. So I do have the Warriors winning tonight.
You got the Warriors winning tonight? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, though. I wouldn't be surprised, though. I wouldn't be surprised. So on a play of word alliteration for AD is it zigzag or is it zenith, right? We need to see the zenith. We get zenith, then we're good, right? Or we can get zigzag.
Right.
Which one we're going to get tonight, zigzag or zenith? Right. So I don't know.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I feel you, man. I feel you. So,
but it should be good, and we'll see what happens, man. But yeah. So listen, shout outs to Infinite Audio for the music. Shouts out to Kingdom Creative for the production. Rod, thanks for joining. Please, everybody, like, share, subscribe to our Facebook and YouTube page. We absolutely love the fact that everyone is commenting. We love the feedback. People, either agreeing with our takes, challenging our takes, or just making comments in general. We really appreciate it. Continue to like, share, subscribe, please, to our Facebook and YouTube page. Rob, thanks for joining. Listen, we're gonna see tonight what happens.
Yeah.
Our next show, that L is gonna.
You know
actually,
what? No. Oh Lord.
I'm glad you put the hat on, because I didn't even think about it. It could mean Lakers. It could mean losers.
That's exactly what it means. It only means one thing. It only means Lakers or losers. Is that what you said, losers?
It could be that L that you guys. That could be. It's significant because they play tonight, and you didn't start the show with it. But lo and behold, when we started to talk, you had to put the hat on. That might be confirmation. I'll leave that there. But in any case,
right, our confirmation audience out there, right? Exactly,
right,
for y'all.
Absolutely. Right. But once again, like, share, subscribe. We appreciate it. Until next time, thanks for joining us. Peace.